Today, as it's already said, I will speak about Balkan and Anatolian connections in the second half of 6th Millennium BC and its connections with Anatolia. So let's start. So after around 5500 BC, the new kind of pottery assemblages appeared and was characterized by the dark burnished fine pottery produced by reduction firing and decorated by incision and channeling, together with the Balkanic and Bitrotonic forms. It has spread across the northern Balkans, and it appeared in forms of early Vinča, Karanovo tree, and early Dudešti and Zabegovo Versnik for cultures. The new pottery assemblages were in strong contrast to the local traditions of light painted wares. This phenomenon, known in Turkish archaeology as Vinča horizon, is present in Anatolia as well. Its main characteristics are the appearance of dark burnished pottery, carinated shapes, bowl rims thickened on the interior, the vessels with horn handles, large deposit vessels, cannulated and incised decoration, and the use of mineral temper. Until recently, the lack of evidences did not permit exact conclusions about the interregional exchange between the Balkans and Anatolia, and still today the number of researched sites in Anatolia is quite poor considering the vastness of the area. Another problem which comes to light is a very low number of radiocarbon dates, and many assemblages are dated by relative chronology, so there are some gaps in chronological sequences. Still, available data from Anatolia are enough to provide us some evidences. I will make a brief overview of so-called Vinča trajectories in Anatolian early and middle Chalcolithic, and examples of three sites from different regions in Anatolia. So, this is the map showing the whole sites which I will mention in my presentation. So, first we will begin with the Marmara region, which has always possessed an interesting geographical position. Situated around the Sea of Marmara, it acts like a bridge between Asia and Europe, but during the first Neolithic culture in this area, the Fikirtepe culture, dated from 6,500 to 5,900, there were no correlations with Balkans, as the Balkan early Neolithic cultures with painted pottery were influenced by the Hadjar culture in southwestern Anatolian Lake District. But the things start to change in post-Fikirtepe period. So, at the side of Ilpenar, in levels from 7 to 5A, carinated bowls appear for the first time, but more drastic changes occur at the end of the early and the beginning of the middle Chalcolithic at about 5,600 to 5,400 BC. In that period falls the early to middle Chalcolithic lever from the site of Aktoprakalk. This site is located about the southern shore of Ulbat Lake, close to the modern-day Bursa, and about 25 kilometers from the Sea of Marmara. The site has been excavated since 2004 under the direction of Necmi Karu from Istanbul University. Until now, chronological sequence from the late Neolithic until middle Chalcolithic has been revealed. And pottery assemblages from the transitional early to middle Chalcolithic is characterized by black burnished pottery and carinated vessel forms, bowl rims thickened on the interior, stichband or pointed bands and rippling ornament, and these shirts could be related to the same horizon as Ilpenar lever 5B, which is dated around 5,550 BC, and Jagenburgas lever from 220, which is dated like 5600 BC. And further analogies could be also drawn to the early Vinca culture, early Dudeshti, and the Karanovo tree. So going further inland, we come to the Eskişehir plain, where during the early Chalcolithic, the Porsuk culture was flourishing. At the beginning of Middle Chalcolithic, the strong ties with the Balkans start to be established. The first evidences could be seen at Orman Fidanuli levels 4 and 5, and also at Keskaya Botros, at which sites they can be recognized by dark burnished pottery, rippled patterns, deep carinated bowls, and also by so-called amphora forms. And these elements are also present at the Marmara region sites. From 2008 on, the systematic excavations are conducted at the site of Kanutash Huyuk, and until now they have revealed more proofs about interregional connections between Balkans and Anatolia. The assemblages with so-called Vinca elements are black burnish polished ware, the black burnish ware, shallow bowls with or without thickened rims, carinated bowls, rippling and canoeing, and such elements are also found at the other contemporary sites in this region, such as Keskaya and Orman Fidanuli. So the third, now we are in the third region. Taking a look to the central Anatolia, we come to the site of Galveri Guzeljurt in the region of Cappadocia. During the first excavations in 1990, pottery sherds with quite unusual ornament have been detected and named so-called the Galveri style. By the soundings made in 2007, two pottery assemblages were recognized, the older named the Archaic Gallery and the later, or the Classic Gallery. So, the Archaic Gallery is characterized by stichband or pointed bands decoration, and it is relatively chronologically dated to from 6100 till 5700 BC. The same characteristics in pottery assemblages like pointed bands and Winkelband ornament we can see also in the other sites in Cappadocia, such as Köshkhöyük and Tepecik Çiftlik. So these upper ones shirts are from the so-called Archaic Gallery, and these below ones are from Classic Gallery assemblages. So Classic Gallery contains new ornament motifs like chevrons and techniques such as combing, impressing, and rippling. And it is also parallel to Orman Fidanuli 1 to 5, and this phase could be roughly dated between 5600 until 5400 BC. So more or less contemporary with the beginning of early Vinca. And among gallery pottery, there is both use of mineral temper and organic temper. And even in the production of black burnish pottery, the organic temper is still used. But by the time the use of mineral temper increased, and in the level 2 dominates among black burnished pottery. How to go back? So, except in pottery, we can also notice similarity in subsistence economy. At the Vincha culture sites, cattle generally predominates, and the kill of patterns and many Vincha sites such as Gomolava, Stragari, and Merchua, Sibilui, Petrish, are with a large surveillance rate of adult cattle, and concludes that the cattle was in a great extent used for dairy products. And now I have to draw some facts about black burnished pottery. So the fundamental traits of the dark burnished ware are first its surface color, and the second mineral tempered paste. Considerable firing skills were required to produce completely reducing firing conditions, and the most lustrous black burnished wares were produced by the vitrification of the ceramic surface at temperatures of about even 1200 degrees. The dark burnished mineral tempered pottery was already produced in the upper Mesopotamia from the middle of 7th millennia BC on, and they appear in central and northwestern Anatolia at the end of 7th millennia BC. The results of analysis of residues on pottery sherds from the northwestern Anatolia have shown striking high percentage of milk product residues. For example, sites of Ashaipenag, Jagenburgas, Fikirtepe, Hoja, Cheshme, and Pendik yielded about 15% of appreciable animal fat residues, of which 70% contained predominantly dairy fat residues. Additionally, the proportion of cattle bones in animal bone assemblages is considerably higher than in sites in the other areas. Okay, one more page. Analysis from the pottery residues of the central Anatolia site of Tepejek Chiftik also shows the traces of milk products, but in a quite smaller numbers than in the northwestern Anatolia. So the only analysis of pottery residues from the Balkan late Neolithic conducted until now was made on the material from the early Dodesti site of Magura Budujeska, and it also yielded similar results to the ones from northwestern Anatolia. It should be pointed out that such milk residues cannot be found on sherds belonging to the red-soaped pottery tradition. One of the characteristics of thin-walled burnished pottery with mineral temper is more resistant to the temperature shock, and moreover, burnishing of the inner and other surfaces make it less porous while containing of liquids. As for the cheese and yogurt production, heating of the milk up to 80 degrees is required, such pots could be used for production of milk byproducts. So, let me say the conclusions. So the apparent similarities between Balkans and Anatolia assemblages were already defined by Garashanid as the Balkan-Anatolian cultural complex, and this concept was revised by Mehmet Ozdan, who proposed the model of Balkan-Anatolian cultural formative zone, which would be the best one to describe the cultural development during the Balkan Neolithic and Anatolian early and middle Chalcolithic. It is not possible to define the formation area of so-called Vincha style, but it is more possible that there were more formative areas and thus multi-directional influences. It does not mean that this model implied the existence of identical cultures with identical cultural assemblages stretching from central Anatolia to the Danube, but it rather suggests this term rather corresponds to the active interactions and similar phenomena as parallel developments with the same trend, but without a certain time or area of origin, and also displaying considerable diversity in the composition of culture and artificial assemblages. One of the reasons for the advance of the dark burnished pottery was perhaps a sign of the social change, but another reason could be in changes of food production, exactly in the beginning of dairy products production. Such new way of food production, although there are almost no pottery residues data from Balkans, but further researchers would hopefully bring more proofs to the light. Okay. Thank you.